Hello, welcome to part 2. This will be the first part, though, of making our project, which is the bird and nest with the eggs. Here's our little bird, and here's our little nest with the eggs. We're going to start with the nest. Okay, so this isn't by any means a perfect little creation, but we don't want to strive for perfection. We just want to give you the basic sense of what it's like to needle felt. So we're going to start with the nest, and then we'll do the branch, and then I'll show you how to do the flowers. The second part will be the eggs. The last part will be the bird. Okay? Now you're going to take your nest wool, which is your pile of brown wool. There's going to be some variation in color of wool, so you might not have wool that looks exactly this color, but I've tried to make it as close to brown as possible. This is natural sheep's wool, and so I just go with what I've got here. So like I said, so you can see this nest is a little bit paler, or this wool I'm working with is a bit darker. So, but it'll do the trick. Okay, so we're going to take our number 38 needle, which is it's kind of a darker colored needle. You have two needles, and yeah, so it's the darker colored needle. And I'm just going to put this down. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to take our wool, and we're going to just kind of bring it into a spiral with our hands. So we're just going to shape it a bit with our hands. We're just making the bottom part of our nest. Okay? I'm going to just rip off some because that's a bit more than we need. Okay, so I've made a bit of a spiral. So now we want to just flatten that out. So we're going to take our needle. Okay, so now you're going to start poking with the needle. But what I want you to know is I always hold my needle, I don't know if this helps, if you can see, but I hold my needle like this because it keeps me from bending. This part is quite fragile if you bend it. If you go at an angle, you can break the tip off. It's very frustrating if you break your needle. So I always hold it like this because it helps me just guide the needle in straight. And you're really just going to poke. Be very careful with these needles because they're very sharp. I've poked myself several times. But usually the best thing to do in your needle felting is don't do two things at once. I try not to watch TV shows when I'm needle felting because that's when I poke myself or I break my needle. So we're just taking our little spiral, and we're flattening it. Now it's going to stick to the foam, but that's okay. We're going to fix that up afterwards. But you just want to go along with your needle and poke your wool. One thing to think about when you're needle felting is you always want to start with a bigger piece than you imagine, because as you felt it, it's going to shrink. In this case, it's spreading out, but it is getting thinner. So, see this part of fluff? We're just going to take it. Sometimes I just kind of scoop up the wool with the needle, just lightly, and then direct it into where I want it to go. Okay, so now we have a general shape of the bottom. And then I'm just going to go around on a horizontal plane and go around. Okay, So there you go. Kind of looks like a cow patty. So here you go. This is going to be the bottom of the nest. So you can flip it over, and I just kind of give the bottom a poke. Might be a little bit fuzzy because it's stuck to the foam. Okay. Now I really hope that my directions are clear, and I really encourage you to feel free to ask me questions about anything that you see that I've missed here. Okay, so now I'm going to take my other leftover bit of wool, and what we're going to do is we're going to make the edges of the nest. So I'm going to just move this out of the way, and I'm going to lay this out, and we're just going to felt this a bit. Okay, so you can see it's kind of flattened it out. Then what I'm going to do, the whole intention is to just kind of build the sides up of the nest. So we're going to just get a little bit more of our wool. Now I've put in the kit, I'm going to be putting enough to make one whole nest, plus the branch that comes out the side. So just feel free to use it all up. Okay. So the nest isn't going to require a ton of poking because it's a nest. It doesn't need to be perfect, you know. So, okay, now I'm taking this part that I felted for the sides, and I'm just going to wrap it around this bottom. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to attach the side part to the bottom. Now watch you don't poke yourself, but you're just going to go horizontally around. So I'm just wrapping it around like this, and I'm poking the needle in and attaching. So just run it along the very bottom, driving that wool in so that it becomes one. You can even go from the inside and lay it kind of flat and attach it like that. Actually, that might even be easier than what I was doing. Okay, so now it's a bit open on the side, so we're going to get another piece of wool. And we're just going to keep doing the same thing. So you can see how that wool shrunk up quite a bit. Okay, so now we've got another little piece here, and we're just going to attach it. Now your pieces are going to vary in length and whatnot, but so it's overlapping. But the more you poke it, because it's all just like one color, you can just blend them together. You can even overlap the top there just to make sure it's really good and attached. And then just doing the inside. Okay, so now we're going to take this, it's like a seam, and we're going to attach it just like I did with the other part. So your needle is really just weaving the fibers together. Okay, so now you've got a basic little nest going on. So now you're just going to want to tweak it to the way you want it. Now see, I've got some little holes here, so I'm going to want to go along with my needle. Excuse me, and the nice thing about making something like a bird's nest, so you don't have to worry about too much detail. It's going to look cute no matter what you do. People are going to know it's a bird's nest no matter what. See, you've got this piece here that I've got going on that's kind of overlapping. So I'm just going to go from the inside and just poke and poke and poke. And sometimes I use my needle to kind of push the wool around. Be very careful when you're doing that, because that's how you could break the needle. You get better at it as you go. Just kind of know how much you can use the needle to manipulate the wool. Okay, so that's basically your nest. And yeah, mine's not finished, but I'm gonna leave the video there. And the next video is going to be the branch. So the next video, the nest will be complete, but I just want you to finish your nest off and then we'll go to the branch. Alright, see you in the next video.